And we're live. Hello, and welcome everyone to the Wide World of Warhammer, as it's been recently rebranded. Thank you, Forrest. With us today, we've got the beautiful gents, the Yabbies themselves. We got Mark, Shane, and James, all from SA. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Hey man, how's it?
I should say Mork.
Mork.
More cunning than brutal than cunning, I guess.
I would be more brutal than cunning, I think.
brutal than cunning. Lovely. We also have Shane. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, look, I'm fine. Ready to go.
Recovering from a cold, but still here, piloting.
That's it.
Showing up for SA.
Fall asleep halfway through and maybe sneeze a couple of times.
Nothing wrong with that, to an extent. Nothing wrong with that. As long as it doesn't get clicked and stuff, or clipped per se and stuff like that, and get shown off, but you'll be fine.
Excellent.
And then we got the Enigma himself, James. Man, how you doing, buddy?
Oh yeah, not too bad. Yeah, here to talk about Warhammer, I suppose. Yeah.
Happy days. Who doesn't like to talk about Warhammer, right? That's what we're all here for. So, so with us today, we're going to talk about to the South Australian crew. So we got the captain, the vice captain, and the vice captain. I understand, as well as one of the players for the South Australian team. All here to talk about SA 40K and how they're looking heading into the ANZ Team Champs. But before we dig in, just go around the room. So, Mark, how long have you been playing 40K for? And like for people who've never heard of you or met your beautiful face, like who are you and what are you all about? Obviously, I guess the Morky Mark is a bit of a hint as to what you're...
I think I started playing 40K when I was 12, I think, with Orcs. And just ran away with it, man. I haven't stopped playing since, really. It was like playing with some childhood friends, just like in the backyard in the sandpit. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then, I started playing like competitively in like 2018, I think. Just before, I think it was the CanCon before COVID is when I started like really playing like proper tournaments. And I just haven't stopped really.
The plastic crack addiction continues and just 40K takes over. Happy days.
Shelves full.
The shelves of potential and pride, right? Not piles of shame, the piles of potential. So happy days. Yeah, sure. Whoever you ask, right?
It's shame. It's 100% shame.
You got Shane as well, with a beautiful beard, I might add. So, how did you get to 40K? And so you're the co-captain, I understand, for this year's team.
Yeah, so that was a bit of fun. So I reckon I started when I was probably about 10 or 11. I remember coming up to Adelaide for one time, seeing the G-Dub store, seeing some of their box art. It's probably like the Viper and the Space Marine biker, and oh, this thing is pretty sweet. What's this all about? Then got onto it, and then I reckon our first army was probably Blood Angels, and then have gone from there and just collected probably most Imperial armies along the way. So been doing it ever since. Been doing competitive gaming tournaments for probably maybe a decade. I used to live up in the Riverlands, so it was just little tournaments up there. They were fun, but moved to Adelaide to do a bit more serious stuff.
Happy days. So you've become allegedly a good guy now after all those Xenos and Elf loving. You become Imperium. What unbelievable.
Yeah.
But someone's got to play the good guys, I guess.
Someone's got to represent. Yeah.
As well, we got James. So James, is it first time at the ANZTC? And I believe, and then one of the players on the team.
Yeah. So my 40K story began back in 4th ed, like Mark, when I was like 12 or something. We were looking for the board game shop and walked into the wrong store. And being a fan of strategy and all that kind of stuff, I was hooked pretty much straight away. So started at 4th, started the beginning of 5th, and then kind of high school hit. And because we lived out in a rural area, I didn't really have anyone to play with. So I kind of dropped it until end of 8th, beginning of 9th. A friend of mine dragged me back in. I pretty much started tournaments more or less immediately. It was pretty lucky that where I live, the Hobby Matrix is real close, and they ran monthly tournaments that were quite accommodating to newbies and experienced alike. So that certainly dragged me back in with a vengeance. Now I've got shelves and shelves of stuff and far too much stuff that hasn't been assembled. and even more stuff that hasn't been painted. So, yeah.
It's okay. It happens to the best of us, right? Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
So I understand. So you're a coach for last year. Tell us, so James, you're one of the coaches of last year. So how did you guys go at last year's ANZTC? So all three of you actually attended last year, but it sounds like this year's lineup's a bit different. And being one of the few of you guys, maybe the three veterans who take going into this year. So James, take us through the South Australia journey for last year, and how you guys went overall.
I can't remember what we came overall. I think it was 5th or 6th. Sixth, yeah. We were all hoping to do a little bit better, but it is what it is. So last year we had some big names like Adam Napier and Adam Camilleri on the team, as well as other kind of big names like Josh Pope. And we all hit up, tried our best. We beat Victoria, which is what we all strove to do, I suppose. Personally, that's my goal for this year: beat Victoria again, as the eternal South Australian Victorian. Rivalry continues on. As coach, it was great because I was able to just watch best players in the country butt heads and learn from all them. Especially when we versed Queensland and watching Adam play him. I learned a lot from watching that game. So, I'm looking forward to actually putting some of those things I learned on the table this year. So, yeah.
Happy days. So, Mark and Shane, was it your first year's ANZTC last year? Maybe starting with you, Mark. Was it your first year last year, or
that was my first year. First year at ATC. I think I'd played. I played Hackett a few times at like Uprising. I think I played him at every Uprising except for the last year. But that was my first real big jump into the deep end. It didn't go so well for me personally, but it is what it is.
Look, someone had to take those shields, or bit of shield, and bit of road bump for some people. It happens to the best of us. But look, you did a service. How about yourself, Shane? Was it your first time last year?
Yeah, so last year was my first time as well. Leading into it, I mean, if you go back so long ago, AOC was just brought back in on the data slates probably 1 month beforehand. So Mark and myself were the T3 army, so we ended up being the mechanics and working ourselves under the bus for most of our games. It was pretty hectic under there. But even saying that, we learned a heck of a lot from, that first experience last year and looking forward to improving upon it next year.
Yeah, fantastic. So, you said 6th overall last year. So maybe, and you said maybe not as good as you expected. Having obviously you said Adam Camilleri, John O'Bishop, and Josh Pope as well. And some good players from SA attending. What were some of the biggest lessons you learned? Maybe starting with yourself, Shane. Were there some big lessons learned from the event?
I mean, guessing from where I was in position as what my role was. Really trying to grab those couple of points where you can makes a huge difference in the team setting. Unlike your single games where you just really got to try and just win each game and smash as many points as you can. The team one is where you really all right, hang on, I can try and hold my opponent back on a few points here and make sure that gap is nowhere near as bad. That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's something completely unique and different. Obviously, 8-man teams are very different to 4- and 5-man teams, and you get thrown into some very bad matchups. And learning that differential is definitely something completely different. Because, as the Shield player, sometimes you play a completely different game of 40k, trying to score points rather than actually going for the win. So, it's completely different to learn. What did you guys think you did well overall? Maybe Mark, did you guys think you did something very well overall, or not so good that you try and improve for this year?
To be honest, it was a bit of a late scramble last year because I knew I was locked in. I was locked into playing Orcs, Speed Freaks, maybe 3 weeks before list cutoff, and then AOC came along and it just kind of screwed me a lot. So, what I kind of think is maybe just building lists that kind of suit the the team format rather than just running like your solo list. I did find ended up switching to sisters and finding that a shield list of just existing in the middle of the board kind of did wonders for someone who had already played the faction for 2 weeks. That kind of deal. I'd probably say just team lists, coordinated team lists is really a nice help. You get thrown under the bus 6 times.
Yeah, so obviously we're still, as the time of the recording, we're still waiting for the data slate. Hopefully it comes out this Thursday, maybe Friday. We'll see what happens. But how are you sort of coordinating it a bit better? I guess obviously it's the end of edition. Maybe you don't hope. Maybe there shouldn't be as many changes, but we still have no idea. So how are you sort of trying to coordinate that a bit better, Mark? Obviously as captain, what are you trying to tell your teammates and other players how to coordinate or better anticipate this?
To be honest, it hasn't been too much of an issue because the 8 players that we do have are kind of they're pretty cemented in their factions. I think we've got maybe 3 best in factions from last year in the team, which is quite nice. So there hasn't really been any orchestration from me to get certain lists built and uploaded. It's kind of I've just let the dudes just do their thing. You know what I mean? Miller wrecks it with AdMech all the time and man with Knights. So I'm pretty comfortable just the other 7 players just doing whatever they want to do, really.
Yeah, that's more than fair. You got to trust your players, right? And they know what sort of deaths and how they sort of accommodate their play style. But I'm sure within a team environment, you'll adjust it a little bit to make it work. And look, the data set may change some things. Some players who are maybe supposed to be more attacking may become more defensive. We'll wait and see, right? But you're with faction specialists, you're able to easily do that, I imagine.
Well, that was one of the things I learned from last year. Is I probably could have just gone with Orcs and just did fine, but that late switch to sisters it probably ended up being a bad choice for me. I think I could have just Orcs and done all right.
Yeah, fair enough. Sometimes that perfection and knowledge base is much better than the most optimal army per se. So, James, we've got some smack talk already in the chat. So, Dale Man from the ACT team. But, who's going to be the better man on the day at ANZTC? It's easy for me to say that Dale's going to be better coming as being the coach for ACT, but lay it back on him. He might be tall, but I don't know if he's even good at 40k.
Yeah, well, personally, I'm biased towards myself. But, I suppose if we have a look at the rankings at the moment, that gives us a nice, clear distinction. But, we'll see on the day, I suppose.
See on the day. We have to get that grudge match going, right? If South Australia versus ACT go on, I'm sure we might have to, put that to the side and say,
that one up.
Yeah.
Heads up, guys.
Yeah, screw the pairings matrix. Who needs it?
Exactly. So obviously you were coached last year, James, and you're playing this year. So what are some words of wisdom maybe you're handing over to us? I understand you guys are taking a coach in Dion. What are some words of wisdom you're handing over to Dion for on the day stuff and heading into play?
Keep everyone hydrated. I feel like that was probably most important role. But also just keeping an eye on everyone, and especially those that are going quite quickly through their games, trying to work out where their scores are at as soon as possible, so that those that are lagging behind a little bit know whether to push or play it safe or anything like that. As well as just helping the captain with pairings. Pairings process can be pretty complex. So having a second person there who can, look at the laptop screen and go, all right, this is what we want, this is what we got. And because the captain's playing, 3 games a day as well, which is mind-numbing. So having that other person there as a sanity check seemed to help a lot. So, yeah.
It's all right. Marky there's a pretty smooth brain, both in hair and as a Orc player, so I'm sure he'll be fine. No.
We'll have to move around 80 models.
There you go. Push forward and hope for the best, right? No. That's more than fair, and it's definitely a big task being coach, and got to hydrate the boys. I'm sure with both beers and 4X and water, but, maybe to be optimal performance is more water, but,
knowing the balance is key.
Lots of storm stages.
Lots of sausages. Here we go. Happy days. So how helpful was it? So you mentioned before you had Adam Camilleri on part of the team of South Australia. How good was it having like a past WTC member on your team? Like, did you guys learn anything special from him, or was it more just that level of quality? Maybe Shane, you can answer.
Look, I mean, during the day, obviously, you don't get to see him too much because, maybe at the pairings and then that's it. So, in the evenings, he stayed with us a couple of nights, I think it was. And I can remember definitely seeing himself, Napier, and probably James as well, sitting down doing matrices on the pairings and going, this will work out if that goes up. So it was really good to see that kind of stuff going on. And then just, personally myself going up to him and saying, hey, this is my army, this is what I'm going into probably, or what I'm built into. What do you think? Extra hints, whatever. And that was really good. I don't know how much I saw him do it to other players, but I'm sure he would have. And it was just nice to be able to go, hey, here's a question. What do you reckon?
There we go. Get your own mini Our War Down Under episode in yourself. Yeah. Happy days. Personalised.
Yeah.
Happy days. Mark or Jace, was there anything else you think Adam Camilleri added to your team?
I mean, as the coach, like I said, I got to watch him play a lot of the games and just kind of the thought process around kind of what he did and why he did and that kind of thing. And also considering that the first time he had played the army that he was running was half a game the night before the rugby started, was all the more impressive. But yeah, just able to watch him and kind of understand the way he thinks and why he does things and that kind of thing was really helpful, and it was really nice being the coach, being able to just sit there and watch. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Mark, did you? You sound like you had something.
No, those two summed it up perfectly.
Beautiful. That's awesome, though. That's good, obviously, to have someone there. But unfortunately, won't have it this year. But look, maybe you'll just beat him when you play Vic. So just pair against him and know his own tricks, right? See what happens. So how's the prep gone for this year? Been a bit different. So you said last year, obviously you had a lot of, veterans on the team, and you got a bunch of fresh blood and newbies on the team. So how's been some of the prep heading into this year? Like, have you had training camps, or just like a bunch of Discord or Facebook Messenger groups? Maybe Mark, you can sort of iterate. Like, obviously you're the captain, so allegedly got to lead by example or feed into the
wolves. We've had a few training days. I think we got together one day and went through. Shane had a nice print up of all the terrain maps and all that kind of like grids and lineups and line of sight areas and all that kind of stuff. And we had a few games. We did some loose pairings, but it's mainly me just like game days. I think we've gotten together like 6 or 7 times just to play just some games between people. But there are a couple of the boys traveling interstate. I think I took a few boys to Strength in Numbers at Ballarat. It was like myself, 2 other members, and one of the dudes that was just like in our pool of players. And that did pretty well too. But we've got a bunch of boys that aren't going to ATC that are still around playing games. And I know a few boys are getting in like solid reps into the likes of like Napier and Jono Bishop and Josh Ngelke. So it's really just been reps, to be really honest. Like, we've actually got a pretty good tournament scene in SA where we can actually play like a good 30 to 40 player RTT every week or 2 if we really wanted to. And I know like all 8 boys are like, they're the dudes that show up to those tournaments and place pretty well. So yeah, it's just been reps.
That's fantastic. That sounds awesome. So what have been some of the biggest things you've been trying to teach the lads? So obviously, have you got 5 new players joining the team, or was it like 3 or 4 new players joining? So maybe you could give it like a rundown, maybe of the players, and say who's new, who's jailbait, and then who's maybe an old school veteran.
Yeah, we've got me, myself, and James, the veterans from last year. Veterans from last year.
Experts. That's what you experts.
Us mechanics. We've got Nathan Meach on the team too. He's one of the veteran SA players. He's been traveling a lot the last couple of years, going to Ballarat and Victoria to play all the big boys. He normally places pretty well too, but there are 4 newbies. I'd say newbies. They kick around the scene, but to ATC, they're very, very fresh. We've got Michael Wood. He's probably like I'd say he's an SA veteran. Like he's always up there, the top 3, top 4, top 5 best players in the RTTs. A very solid player. Who else is there? Oh, we've got Mr. Phil Wessels, Mr. Dragon's Lair himself. He's
Shout
like
Dragon's Lair.
Shout out
Dragon's
themselves. He's a solid Marine player as well. He wasn't initially in the team. We did have another player commit and then drop, and Phil was gracious enough to fill those boots, much to Meech's disgust because he took his faction. But he's a pretty good solid player. He's been repping Templars for the last couple of years. I think he was actually one of the top Templar players in the ITC last year. I think he only scraped into second place, I think. So he's
Very
always
nice.
around. He's always giving people headaches with Black Templars. Who am I missing? Oh, Pete.
Brad?
Yeah, Pete and Brad. I mean, Brad's like the guard player in SA. He's the boss. I mean, he was getting in good reps with guard before the codex dropped. Yeah, I mean, so that was just one of the first names on the team list. Like give him a brand spanking new codex and he'll 100 some blokes. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Pre-bandwagon, love it.
Yeah, pre-bandwagon, yeah. And then we got Mr. Pete. He's like our GSC connoisseur. He plays like the weird factions like Crons and GSC and NIDS, and he's always up there competing. So I thought why not, right? New book, new GSC book, new faction, a solid player. Easy choice.
Happy days. Can't hate against the GSC player. No, that's more. We'll take those when you get them. So obviously a bunch of fresh newbies on there. So what's been some of the biggest things they've had to learn? So obviously you said went to Strength in Numbers, which is a teams event, I'm pretty sure, but run by the Rackles and lads, I'm pretty sure. And then obviously you got the South Australia Team Champs coming up. What have been some of the biggest things with differential and I guess that's team style that they've had to learn? Maybe James, you can answer if you've been there to be able to witness it.
Yeah, I mean, the first number one thing mainly has just been getting people's heads wrapped around the way the pairing system actually works. Because even though Mark will be the one actually doing the pairings, if they understand why the pairings are done that way and how it all works, it's always good to have another head to kind of bounce ideas off of. And yeah, if you don't really get the pairing system, it makes zero sense until you get it, until it clicks, and then it makes sense. So yeah, certainly for me in the lead up to SATC, getting my team's head wrapped around the way the pairings work and why I'm going to put them into this thing that makes no sense at first, but then in the grand plan, it all makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of been the big thing for me anyway.
There we go. Plays a 4D chess and it makes sense. It's like, what do you mean you're busting me? What am I getting a red matchup on the worst table? What's happening here, coach? I was like, I swear, I got a plan, lads. Got a plan. No, more than fair. So obviously you mentioned some names there. So it sounds like some people who are best in faction, the factions pick themselves. But did you just try and pick other factions for them, or you let them pick themselves and then allocate that sword and shield archetype based upon the factions, or more on the personality? Maybe Shane, you can answer.
I think most of the selections have been based around probably what they're familiar with. I think there's a couple of us who we can probably switch into something else if we need to, based maybe on the data slate, but I like to think that, what we've got going on, is what the players are most confident with, which confidence in your army is probably trumps a lot of things instead of, Mark going last year, switching from Orcs to Sisters. Yep, fine, but would have felt so much more comfortable not going, oh, I think I could have something to do with this, or a strat that'll just change this. Oh, that's an Orc one. Great.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, more than fair. So obviously it sounds like you got a bunch of specialists, so people who are dedicated. Are you trying? Obviously, you got like the South Australia Team Champs coming up. Are you trying to be secret and techie and like try and hide what you're trying to play, or lists and archetypes and stuff like that? Or you guys are like, right, just get reps in. We don't care if some secret MI5 agents from other states are trying to figure us out, or like what's happening? Maybe Mark, you can answer. Like, what's the philosophy?
I'm personally trying to stay out of the radar. I probably still haven't even decided on an archetype yet, so to be really honest, it would just be some variation of whatever I want to bring. To be honest,
Death Guard,
I would,
Death Guard.
yeah. Harlequins, right? I heard they're pretty good right now. I mean, it's really just letting the boys do what they want to do, to be very honest. If they want to get reps in with their list, they can. I mean, it's one of those things, right? Whatever you do, you're kind of damned. If you're going to show your list to everybody, everybody's going to know. If you're not going to get reps with the lists, then like, what's the point, right? The SA teams tournaments kind of really set up for the ATC boys to put the pedal to the metal and kind of, test their lists to the mission and to the matchups. I mean, it is a kind of a stacked tournament. There are no like bad players in this one. It's really the cream of the crop that come out and play at this tournament every year. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the players being comfortable with what they're going to bring. I'd rather that than just throw anything on the table and see if it sticks.
Yeah, more than fair. I think it's one of those, like as you said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think for a lot of us, it's the reps are the biggest thing to get in, and like we're happy to show our hand as long as we get the reps in, and the practice will make us perfect. Rather than, I know some bigger states, maybe like Queensland and New South Wales, and maybe Vic to an extent, they can probably keep their cards close to their chest and hide shit while still getting the practice and behind the scenes. So, but look, they better get practice right than not show up on a day and I guess fuck around and find out, right?
Yeah.
No, more than fair. So what do you? So we alluded to like teams and stuff like that. What we're sort of expecting per se. What are some of the biggest things you're expecting from some teams? Obviously, we alluded to maybe GSC and Guard are going to be out there, but what are some of the other factions and armies you expect from other teams to be taking?
I'd probably 100% expect some Dark Angels and Space Wolves. They seem to be like the boogeyman at the moment in the Marine faction. Yeah, Dark Angels. We know a couple of the top ICC players switching to Space Wolves and Dark Angels, so they're kind of expected. I would probably definitely expect to see a couple of GSCs as well. Obviously, model count kind of stops that one from hitting the table, but I'd probably expect a lot of demons as well. I'd expect to see a lot of demons and Chaos Knights. That'd be my picks.
All good armies all up the top there. James, any armies you expect to be seeing you're preparing for?
Shooting Marines. I'm expecting there to be a bunch of Shooting Marines. I'm actually not expecting as many Dark Angels, given that we're going to be list submission after the data slate drop. And given Dark Angel's current win rate, I'm expecting something to come down. But yeah, for me, I've always feared and hated Shooting Marines. I have a burning passion to murder as many Shooting Marines as possible, which is unfortunate because it generally ends poorly for me if they know what they're doing, which they will in this case. So, yeah. Mark, dodge me, make me dodge Shooting Marines as much as possible.
There's one way to kill a Shooting Marine, that's with a chopper.
Yeah, that'll work.
What if you just wire at them harder? Maybe that will work, right?
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, it does, sometimes it doesn't.
We've had Ben Corby in the chat, though. World leaders, so have you had some people who are blood for the blood god, like Corn raging, or do you expect them to be there, or maybe not as much? Shade, do you know?
Look, I think everyone's been scrounging the four corners of Australia and more to try and find some 8-bound. I think we only got like 12 boxes delivered to the continent, it feels like. So there'll be plenty of 3D printed ones available, I'm sure. Look, I imagine, some people would bring a Invocatus and half a dozen or more 8-bound. With their lack of mobility to get past that first wave, the shield line, I think they may struggle. But, they definitely have their play, that's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there, Shane, that I don't think they'd win many games, but at the few kind of events and stuff that I've seen the World Eaters run, these are singles events, so they'll lose badly. Like, they'll be tabled by turn 3, but they'll still score, like,
high
60 points, which
Higher.
might work. Yeah, like, 60 points as a floor, which might work in the team's environment. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see anyway.
See what happens. This secondary game is absolutely ridiculous. So your score points are just doing anything, just for dying to score all the points. So, it's amazing. So, we'll see what happens. But one thing we know for sure, there are going to be yabbies there. And in the chat, we've had a bunch of people throwing out the gang sign of yabbies and lobsters. But so tell us, maybe, I guess, I understand, Mark, you're part of the team Yabby Hunters. Like, who are these crazy cats that yell out yabbies and drink beers and stuff like that? So for people who are unaware,
just a bunch of loose blokes. Just a bunch of loose fellas. I think so. Meech and Mr. Jack Platt and myself went to, I think it was the Ballarat tournament last year, just before ATC in April, and it came up in the car on the way to or on the way back. I can't remember, and it's just stuck like a it's stuck pretty hard, and it hasn't gone away. And we've had an influx of players joining the team. It's just a bunch of dudes who just drink 6 beers before round 1 and 6 beers after round 1. And it gets pretty loose. It's a good group of lads, that's for sure.
Yeah, nice. Can we expect some cordial shoeies before ANZTC of the alleged Yabby team, or?
Yeah, I'll have to pack it. There's always a dedicated shoe. It's never anyone's shoe. It's just it's a dedicated shoey shoe. I'm not drinking out of these guys' shoes, that's for sure.
Yeah,
especially Jack's. There'll be a few in the car park if it's permitted.
Oh, too good. I understand also last year, heading into Uprising, you had hired some special comedians for the Yabby Hunters. Can we expect maybe South Australia to get some comedians or guest appearances to talk some shit about the other states? Shane, you sound like you know what's happening.
I remember seeing that and I just lost it. I just couldn't stop laughing. Oh, dear.
Oh, it was very good. Like, they had the fake Peter Griffin and the other guy. He's on the inspirational talks from TikTok. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mark, you sound like maybe you're the man behind it. Do you know what's going to happen? Can we expect something?
I don't, but you can never expect with Yabbies. It's all just chaos. It's organized chaos. That's all it is. Organized chaos and shoeies.
Not in that order.
Yeah, definitely not in that order.
Fantastic. So is there going to be any special bounties or prizes for expected beers to be drunk at the ANZTC, or is this a business trip and pretty serious?
We'll keep it as a business trip. We'll say it's a business trip, but it'll probably get a little bit messy.
See how the first couple of rounds go and like how you guys are going overall, and it might get sloppier if it goes a bit worse.
You might have to put in a rule: the player with the lowest points has to do a shoey after every round. That's normally the golden rule between the Yabbies. The lowest rated player has to do a shoey.
Beautiful. So the one person getting buzzed is going to be just off his face.
So I'll probably do like 4 or 5 shoeys. Yeah.
At the bottom, you say at the bottom.
Yeah. The snowball effect.
Yeah.
Oh, too good. Can we expect some special dice? So we had Dale Mann asking, allegedly, I guess a couple of years ago, you had some very significant dice with a special phrase printed on it. Can we expect maybe some special sayings or signature dice for this year?
I'm not quite sure. I have seen those dice in the pool in SA floating around. There are a couple guys who give out their dice every time they beat someone or lose someone, but I don't own any of those.
No, maybe not. Let's wait for next year, or wait and see. Wait and see what happens. Fantastic. So who do you expect teams to be on the podium? Other, I guess, than yourselves, maybe you guys going to be on the ball one overall. But who are some like the top contenders you guys are preparing for and anticipating? I guess it sounds like you have a rivalry with Vic, so maybe grudge match round 1 against Vic. But who are some people on the podium you expect and are getting ready for? Maybe James, you can start.
Well, I think everyone's expecting Queensland. I mean, they won last year. They've got Lord knows how many WTC players on the team. So yeah, personally, I'm thinking probably Queensland at number 1. And then disappointingly for us, I think probably Vic will be either 2nd or 3rd. So yeah.
Fair enough. Any other predictions? Like, where do you guys think you'll come? Like middle of the pack or towards the tail end, or I guess depends on the beers.
I reckon we got a decent shot. I mean, like probably not at first again, but middle of the pack is probably where I'm expecting us to come. But set expectations low, and then you can only rise from there. So
there we go. At least you meet expectations, right? Mark,
Yeah.
Captain, you got to give some inspiring words to your team. Where do you think you guys are going to finish up?
I personally think with our team composition, we could probably go just above middle of the pack. I reckon we definitely can. We've got some strong players there that prove themselves every week here in SA. With a couple of wild cards as well. But I definitely think we could break more than the middle bracket. I'd like a 4th. I mean, I'd be happy with a 4th.
Yeah. Very close to the podium. Very close to the podium. Yeah. Lovely. Oh, well, fingers crossed. Wait and see. Do better than last year. That's all you can hope for. And just tell Adam Napier, you can screw it. You're useless. I mean, what the fuck did you?
Well, that's the thing too, right? You want to out captain Napier. that's one of my goals anyway.
You can stick it to him and say, "Hey, next year just make me captain again," and then
never again.
How have you found the experience as captain so far? Like, obviously, I had to do it last year for ACT, and it's a lot of it logistics and organisation and herding cats, as I found. Have you found a very similar thing, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had the best players in SA to choose from too. Like we do have it's a quality squad. But all the guys that I approached super early on either couldn't commit to, having babies or family time or all that kind of stuff. So it has been a bit of a late scramble to get 8 players locked in. But yeah, it's just a logistical nightmare. Just factions and lists alone. I think we've moved our Marine player around 4 times. Because every time we've settled on something, someone's dropped, and then someone's going, "Can I play Marines?" It's I've already got 2 players playing Marine, want to play Marines now. A 3rd one's come in, and it's just a nightmare. It's kind of nice being the only Orc player in the team.
And there we go. Happy days. Great time. That's all that matters.
Yeah, just run at people.
And as well as organising lists and stuff like that, you have to organise accommodation, flights. How the hell you guys going to get there?
It still hasn't been done yet.
That's future me problems. No worries. So before we wrap things up, is there any final shout outs or words of wisdom and encouragement for the boys or for the SA community? Maybe start with Shane. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap things up?
Oh, look, I'm just excited to be taking a whole bunch of new lads over there, coming from experience from 1 year. I'm just going to look forward to having a whole lot of good games and, seeing how we go.
Beautiful. James, any words of wisdom, final thoughts?
Not really. Just, I suppose I'm looking forward to Knights not changing in the data app slate for the 4th data slate in a row. Sometimes they just nail the codex.
Fingers crossed. You, Mark, any last words as captain?
Not really. I mean, I think there's one. It's Yabby. I don't know.
Have fun, right?
There. Yeah, have fun. Go play against some of the world's best players. and just give it to them. So that's what I got.
Happy days. Oh, looking forward to seeing you guys up there, and hopefully we get to play. We didn't get to play last year, but maybe this year we'll see and duke it all out. That's all. So thank you very much, guys, for attending and talking about SA and what it's all about, and looking forward to seeing you guys up there. So best of luck in the rest of last preparation, and best of luck at the South Australia Team Champs, and we'll see what happens. Hoorah!
Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right.
man.
Thanks, guys.